Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your morning star, so strong and bright, gentle mother, peaceful dove, teach us wisdom, teach us love. You were chosen by the Father. You were chosen for the Son. You were chosen from all women and for woman, shining light, gentle woman, quiet light, morning star, so strong and bright, gentle mother, peaceful dove, teach us wisdom, teach us love. Blessed.
All right, that was Al Barber. He has an album called He Speaks, and there's another song I have on there, Pontus Angelicus. He has another one, I forget the name of it right now. But anyway, he's a great singer, and again, as I always say, there are different ways of praying. I mean, my favorite way of praying is with music. I mean, words are nice, but music kind of gets you in there, and you get a little bit more, you raise your hands once in a while, and sometimes you wave them. And I got a couple of songs that will make you wave them, by the way. There's an Irish Catholic from Northern Ireland called Robin Mark. And Robin Mark is, like I said, he's a revivalist or present-day charismatic, and he writes and sings a lot of powerful songs, and you can't sit still with the songs. You gotta be doing something. I mean, clapping your hands, raising, whatever. But his songs really reach out and just grab you. Again, I want to say thank you, welcome. I mean, with 10 degrees outside and it's wind blowing, it's going to be that's a horrible wind chill, okay? I've lived through this once before up at a bridge up in Boston. The outside temperature was minus 10 degrees, and with the wind chill it was minus 29. And I froze.
I just got something from a friend that lives up at Whiteface Mountain upstate, it's minus 71 degrees. Wind chill.
Wow.
So do it.
Yeah, that's cold.
Minus 71 wind chill.
That's cold.
They live 8 hours upstate.
Anyway, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for being here. I know it's a tremendous inconvenience to be here with the weather outside. And I love you for being here because my wife said, why don't you wing it and just mail it in? I said, Mayor, that's my wife. She's always going to give me an easy way out. I said, Mayor, there will be one person there, and if there's one person there, I will be there. So, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Tonight, then, we're going to talk about apparitions of Mary. And there are a multitude of them. We could go through, we could go a lot of them. And then towards the end of the session into next week, we're going to concentrate on the biggies. Because you just don't talk for 5 minutes on Lourdes. Lourdes is a subject you got to talk about. Fatima is a subject you gotta talk about. Guadalupe is a subject you gotta talk about, okay? So we'll touch everything at the beginning, and then we'll kind of do, fly over, as they say, and come back and get into it on a daily basis. According to the doctrine of the Catholic Church, the era of public revelation ended with the death of the last apostle. That's public revelation. A Marian apparition, if deemed genuine by church authority, is treated as a private revelation that may emphasize some facet of the received revelation for specific purposes, but it can never add anything new to the positive faith. The church may pronounce an apparition worthy of belief, but belief is never required by divine faith. The Holy See has approved only 12 apparitions, and according to Father Salvatore Perella of the Marian Pontifical Institute in Rome, by the way, they have a great Marian library. I've been there schlepping around, digging some stuff out. Of the 295 reported apparitions studied by the Holy See through the centuries, only 12 have been approved as of May 2008. 12. The latest at May 2008 was the approval of the 17th and 18th century apparitions of Our Lady of Laos. Other apparitions continue to be approved at a local level. In December 2010, local approval of the 19th century apparitions of Our Lady of Good Help, first recognized apparition in the United States. I believe it was in Midwest Wisconsin, if memory serves me right. That is the local bishop says, yeah, that was a Marian apparition. Rome did not say it, but the local bishop did.
What was the one, Our Lady of Isles?
L-A-U-S, Laos.
L-A.
L-A-U-S.
Laos, okay. That was the last one.
Pardon me?
That was the last one approved.
That's the last one approved.
Yeah.
There was one in the Bronx 2 years ago. Yeah, she had thousands of people outside the Cardinal Donuts and so to disperse it. Right, according to the Marian Institute, the 20th century, 386 claims of Marian apparition. Of these, 8 were determined to be constant approved as supernatural. 79 have received a negative declaration, and regarding the rest, no definitive decision was made. An authentic apparition is believed not to be a subjective experience, but a real and objective intervention of divine power. The purpose of such apparitions is to recall and emphasize some aspect of the Christian message. The Church states that cures and other miraculous events are not the purpose of Marian apparitions, but exist primarily to validate and draw attention to the message. Apparitions of Mary are held as evidence of her continuing active presence in the life of the Church, for which she cares for the brethren of her Son, who still journey on her. The best known apparitions are Lourdes and Fatima. Since 1862, 66 medical cures associated with Lourdes have been certified as miraculous by the Catholic Church, which established its own medical bureau to review and evaluate claims. Through an independent study of cures reported in the 20th century, it noted that the number of reported cures had declined over the years, likely due to advances in medical science, as well as certain criteria that exclude some cures. One of the criteria for evaluating apparitions is whether the revelation results in healthy devotion and spiritual fruits in people's life, greater prayer, greater conversion of heart, works of charity, etc. The Marian apparition of Our Lady of Fatima on a remote mountaintop to 3 young Portuguese children. Why don't I stop right there? And going through this, I noticed one moment we have Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to a peasant man. Almost all the other ones were the girls, farm girls. I mean, when I say farm girls, they were non-educated. They didn't go to school. They didn't go to grammar school. They were living in the countryside, tending sheep or whatever, their parents, and almost every one of them they were farm girls who were not educated. So that was one of the ponces, because when a girl came into the bishop, oh, I've seen the Blessed Mother, and she wants to recall the Immaculate Conception, which was a brand new dogma at the time. The bishop knew that the girl didn't read that somewhere, that she had to get it from Mary, because she was living in the countryside, she was tending sheep, she had no idea what Rome was talking about. And here all of a sudden, she nails it. So the bishop knew right at the get-go. She was too young, she was too far away from the action. Whatever she was saying had to be the truth. So You'll notice throughout what we're doing is there's a number of children who Mary appeared to, and most of them are women. I'm trying to figure out the significance, but I have no idea. So the Marian apparition of the Lady of Fatima on a remote mountaintop to 3 young Portuguese children in 1917 also seemed fanciful, and the local administrator initially jailed the children, threatening to boil them in oil one by one. Over the years, the effect of Fatima has been undeniable. With over 25 million registered Catholic members, the Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima, which was approved by Pope Pius XII in 1947, is the largest Marian society in the world. The Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima, 25 million people. Everyone of them saying rosary every day. An example is Our Lady's Rosary Makers, formed by Brother Sylvia Magni in 1949 to distribute free rosaries as a devotion of Fatima. Our Lady's Rosary Makers have since distributed millions, hundreds of millions of free rosaries to Catholic Christians worldwide. Way back when, in the good old days, I used to make rosaries. I try and get it where I could do one a day. About half an hour. You gotta just shut it off the world, be very conscious of what you're doing and where the parts are. But a half hour, you can do what you can knock out one a day. Also with the plain Jane, the black one, little black beads and cross. And then I made one for my mom, my grandmother, and those were crystal. Some of them are rarity crystal. You hold it till they get 10,000 different colors out of it. And they're huge. The crystal balls are huge. You wait a ton just to pick up the rosary. You like this cabinet. But they were beautiful. The rosary came out absolutely beautiful. I made, like I said, for my mom and for my grandmother. I don't know anybody here who does it, but boy, I enjoy doing it because boy, you're baking, you're praying with, obviously. So it's a double-edged sword. While you're doing it, while you work with your hands, you also work with your mouth. According to Bishop Gogia, the majority of the most visited Catholic shrines in the world are vision-based, in that about 10 million pilgrims visit the Our Lady of Guadalupe, considered the most visited Catholic shrine in the world, followed by the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima, with between 6 and 8 million, and the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Lourdes in France received 5 million visitors. In Canada, millions of American Canadians have visited the National Shrine of Our Lady of the Cape in Cap-de-la-Madeleine in Quebec. This is I forget the name of the isle, but they got a huge basilica there, and I remember my mother dragging the three, myself, my brother, my sister, up there to see it. My mother loved dragging us to religious memorials. You name the place, you drag it. We stopped at Orangeville, where they had where the Mohawks killed the Jesuits, the early Jesuit martyrs. We had to stop off and pay respects to Jesuits. I don't know, it was not weird, but boy, she looked for every inch she could get. Let's have another prayer. All right, historical feasts. A number of feasts based on historical conditions involving apparitions are celebrated in the Catholic Church. These apparitions do not technically fall under the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, also known as the Inquisition, since they generally predate the formation of the congregation, which happened to be started in 1542. They are recognized based on the papal declaration of the feast days rather than formal analysis by the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. The first one is Our Lady of the Pillar. And this is a Spanish apparition. In the year 40 AD, according to tradition, the Virgin Mary appeared to St. James the Great in Zaragoza, Spain. The vision is now called Our Lady of the Pillar and is the only reported Marian apparition before her Assumption. The Basilica of Our Lady of the Pillar was built in Zaragoza. A key piece of the Roman Catholic Marian art, the statue of Our Lady of the Pillar refers to this apparition. That's the only information. There's nothing written. There was no books written.
So Bill, so she hadn't passed?
Well, yeah, they're 40.
So she did the two things,
She was
two in one
yeah,
place
but-
type thing. She teleported.
Hey.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right,
Yeah, I never knew
the
that.
next one is Our Lady of Snow. We have a church by Our Lady of Snow, I think it's down Blue
Blue
Point.
Point.
I was talking about Gansford, he was the pastor, third down, Father John McGann was the pastor now.
Who?
Father John McGann.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he left here, we can't pass it
Is
down.
that where it's at?
The Lady of Snow is based on a legend that during the pontificate of Pope Liberius, on the night of August 5th, snow fell on the summit of Aquiline home in Rome. Based on a vision that night, a basilica was built in honor of Our Lady on a spot that had been covered with snow. Now, this is in August, snow in Rome. Yeah, August, in August, I mean, Rome in August is hot, very hot. Not to see any snowflakes. The church built there is now the Basilica Santa Maria Maggiore, or Mary Major. And the feast was celebrated at the church for centuries on August 5th. There's no mention of the alleged miracle in historical records until a few hundred years later. And then Pope Sixtus said it was seen that the legend has no historical basis. However, in the 14th century, the feast was extended to all the churches of Rome and was made a universal feast by Pius V. Under the 1969 revision of the Roman calendar, this date is the commemoration of the dedication of the Basilica of St. Mary Major. Our Lady of Snow, I just disappeared. It's now St. Mary Major. When we get to my favorites, Our Lady of Walsingham. We'll talk about this in depth much later. Our Lady of Walsingham is, according to the Virgin Mary, appeared to Recalus de Foscherus, a devout Saxon nobleman, in 1061 in Walsingham, England. She instructed her to construct a shrine resembling a place of the Annunciation. The shrine passed into the care of the canons regular around 1146. Late in 1538, King Henry's soldier attacked the priory in Walsingham, killed two monks, and destroyed the shrine. In 1897, the Pope Leo reestablished the 14th century slipper chapel as a Roman Catholic shrine. The Holy House was rebuilt as a Catholic church of the Annunciation at King's Wayland, and was part of the Catholic parish in 1897. Today, there are two shrines at Walsingham. The Roman Catholic Church centered in the slipper chapel, and the Holy House maintained by the Church of England. There are also two separate feast days, September 24th, the Roman Catholic Church, and October 15th in the Anglican Community. Our Lady of the Rosary. And we're going to get into this next week. There's a lot of popular misconceptions about Our Lady of the Rosary. So, but I don't think I spent an inordinate amount of time in this on the Rosary. We'll get into next week. But most of what we believe is wrong. I'll tell you right now, most of what we believe is wrong. But that is. Our Lady of the Rosary, according to the Dominican tradition, Our Lady of the Rosary appeared to St. Dominic in 1208 in the Church of Priola and presented him with the Rosary as a weapon against heresy. The boldness on trying to trace the source, the origin of the tradition, found that all the clues converged upon one point, the preaching of a Dominican, Alan de Rupe, about the years 1470. Although Mary's giving of the Rosary to St. Dominic is recognized as a legend, the development of this prayer form owes much to the followers of St. Dominic. In 1571, Pope Pius V instituted Our Lady of Victory as an annual feast to commemorate the victory of Lepanto, very famous battle in Italy. And obviously the Christian side won. They were battling the Turks, and the Christian side just sat down and prayed. Prayed for lots of other, and guess what? They won. They beat the Turks. To commemorate the victory of Lepanto, Paul VI changed the name of the feast to Our Lady of the Rosary. Okay, next, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. You've heard about Our Lady of Carmel, the Carmelites, right? Wrong. We can get now to show the real truth. According to Carmelite tradition, when they say Carmelite tradition or anybody's tradition, that means they don't have hard facts to back it up. Tradition, yeah, my father's been doing this, and his father's been doing it. Yeah, but you get records for that? No, but he did it, he did it. That's tradition. The tradition means they don't have proof. Not personal. According to Carmelite tradition, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to St. Simon Stock, who was prior general of the Carmelite order in the mid-19th century. The earliest reference to the tradition of the Marianate preparation, dating to the 14th century, states that St. Simon was an Englishman, a man of great holiness and devotion. Always in his prayers asked the Virgin Mary to favor his order with some singular privilege. The Virgin appeared to him holding the broad scapular in her hand, saying, This is for you and yours, a privilege. The one who dies in it will be saved. The scapula is like apron-like garment that longest part of the relatives have it. You're wearing a cloak, but what it is it's a 6 foot, it's a 12-foot piece of fabric, maybe that wide, with a hole cut out in the middle. You just put your head to it, and you have floppy in front, you have floppy in back, and you use your long rosary beads to tie everything together so it doesn't, you don't trip over. In the original context, the Blessed Virgin promised was assurance that religious who persevered in their vocation would be saved, beginning in the latter half of the 16th century. The small scapula became very sacramental. I had one when I was a kid. I had a broad scapula on my front back. Except if you were old enough, probably had the same thing. That's been replaced by a medal. You don't have to wear a piece of fabric. You can get a scapula medal to wear. The historicity of St. Simon Stock's Legion is now disputed, and as a result today, neither the liturgy of the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, which had no association with the scapular devotion, but became strongly connected with St. Simon Stock's vision in the 17th century. St. Simon Stock had not made any reference to the Virgin Mary. The brown scapular itself remains recommended by the Catholic Church. Now we can get into what's been approved. Like I said, you do the research on this and you realize you're thinking that, not that you know everything, but you kind of, everything's in your mind, everything fits in these little blocks. And again, they're writing stuff like this, you say, wow. First of all, there's a lot more apparitions than I thought there were. But secondly, as you get into the details, you learn things about Fatima that I never knew. Catherine Laborie with the Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal, facts I never knew. And Our Lady of Guadalupe, I knew diddly about that until I started doing the research. And all of a sudden, that's become my favorite period holiday. You see that, and you just go crazy. As an aside, we talked last week about Mary as a co-redemptrix, as a mediatrix of graces, et cetera, and I vehemently said Jesus is the only one who saves, Mary doesn't. So anyway, I'm back to watching my chosen again. I'm watching I'm watching The Wedding of Cana, which is really becoming my daily wake-up habit. There's nothing in there now. And what it is, so somebody approached Mary and says, hey, we have no wine. So Mary goes to Jesus and says, they have no wine. That's an intercessory role. In other words, somebody asked Mary to intercede for them with her son. That's intercessory. Jesus at first said no. Then he relented and he changed the word to wine. Mary's role there, as it is until it comes from home, she's an intercessor. You pray to Mary. Mary doesn't do it. She goes to her son and says, hey, wake up. I got somebody down here who needs your help. Do something. And that's her play. But she doesn't wave a magic wand and do it herself. She goes to, and again, when you watch the church, you see that part of the Wedding of Cana. You realize that she never had that power. She doesn't have that power. Her son has it. But she interceded for the married couple and had her son come up with the fresh wine. And that to me is, again, every time I watch that, I get a new twist, a new view, a new understanding. And this is all stuff that was, it's like in hospitals, but you really got to dig into it. You got to get, you just can't pick up, you can't pick it up and read it. You can't pick it up and read it the first time and be satisfied. I've got about 20 Bibles at home. This is my favorite. This is the beat-up one. This is the one. This is the one that goes around. I'll show you something here. Don't be afraid to mark up your Bible. I got red ink, I got blue ink, I got a highlighter. I've got whatever I think is writing instrument is close to my, so I can do something, because I see a phrase and the phrase strikes me. It's God's talk. It's the back and start meditating on it. But like I said, don't ever be, this Bible was $10, whatever, not a lot of money, but don't be afraid of marking, because through all the times I've read about it, God, I can tell you all the pages, everything that are marked. You see that? Don't be afraid of marking the Bible, really, that's what it's there for. You're interacting with the Word. All right, we're gonna get into Our Lady of Guadalupe. The 1531, do you realize it's almost 500 years since the Marian apparition? She appeared to Juan Diego in 1531. He saw an early vision of the Virgin Mary in which he was instructed to build an abbey on the hill of Tepeyac in Mexico. The local bishop did not believe his account and asked for a miraculous sign, which was later provided as an icon of the Lady of Guadalupe, permanently imprinted on the saint's cloak where he gathered roses. Over the years, Our Lady of Guadalupe became a symbol of Catholic faith in Mexico and the Mexican diaspora. According to a 17th century account written in the native Nahuatl language, the Virgin Mary appeared 4 times to Juan Diego, an indigenous Mexican peasant, and once to his uncle, Juan Bernardino. First apparition occurred in the morning of Saturday night, December 1531. Juan Diego experienced a vision of a young woman in a place called the Hill of Tepeyac, which later became part of the Villa de Guadalupe, a suburb of Mexico City. According to accounts, a woman speaking to Juan Diego in his native language identified herself as the Virgin Mary, mother of the true deity. She was said to have asked for a church to be erected on that site in her honor. Based on her words, Juan Diego then sought the Archbishop of Mexico City to tell him what had happened. Not unexpectedly, the Archbishop did not believe Diego. Later that same day, Juan Diego again saw the young woman, and she asked him to continue insisting with the bishop. The next day, Sunday, December 10th, Juan Diego spoke to the Archbishop a second time. The latter instructed him to return to Tepeyac and asked the woman for a truly acceptable, miraculous sign to prove her identity. Later that day, the third apparition appeared. When Juan Diego returned to Tepeyac, he encountered the same woman. He reported to her the Archbishop's request for a sign, which he consented to provide on the next day. Monday, December 11th, was Juan Diego's uncle, Juan Bernardino, became ill, which obligated Juan Diego to attend to him, take care of him. In the very early hours of Tuesday, December 12th, Juan Bernardino's condition having been deteriorated overnight, Juan Diego journeyed to the town to get a Catholic priest to hear his confession and to help minister him on his deathbed. To avoid being delayed by the Virgin and ashamed of having failed to meet her on Monday, Juan Diego chose another route around Tepeyac Hill. Yet the Virgin intercepted him and asked where he was going. Juan Diego explained what had happened, and to the Virgin gently chided him for not having made recourse to her. Why didn't you come? And the words which become the most famous phrase in Guadalupe apparitions, and which are inscribed above the main entrance of the Basilica of Guadalupe. She asked, "No esté aquí, se oye tu madre." Translated, am I not here? I, who am your mother? Boy, that just knocks the socks off. I mean, here she says, I'm your mother. Why don't you come to me? Come to me, I can help you. But why I am here, come to me. She assured him that Juan Bernardino had now recovered and told him to gather flowers on 7th and Hill, which are normally barren, especially in the cold of December. Juan Diego obeyed her instructions, and he found Castilian roses, not native to Mexico, blooming there. The Archbishop of Mexico City at this particular time, who was the guy who was with Juan Diego, was not Mexican. He was from Spain. Okay, and he's from Castile. So what happens when the roses were presented to him? 2 things. A, he immediately recognized them as Castilian roses, and B, he knew they didn't go anywhere in Mexico. So anyway, Juan Diego made her instructions. He found the roses and blooming there. According to the story, the Virgin arranged the flowers in John Diego's Tilma, and when John Diego opened his cloak later that day before the Archbishop, the flowers fell to the floor, revealing on the fabric the image of the Virgin of Guadalupe. The next day, December 13th, Juan Diego found his uncle fully recovered as the Virgin had assured him. And Juan Bernardino recorded that he had also seen her after praying at his bedside, that she instructed him to inform the Archbishop of this apparition and of his miraculous cure, and that she had told him she desired to be known under the title Guadalupe. The Archbishop kept John Diego's mail. First in his private chapel, then a church of public display, where it gathered great attention. On December 26, a procession formed to transfer the miraculous image back to Tepeyac Hill, where it was installed in a small, hastily erected chapel. During this procession, the first miracle was allegedly performed when a native was mortally wounded in the neck by an arrow shot by accident during some spirit stylized martial plays performed in the honor of the Virgin. In great distress, the natives carried him before the Virgin's image and pleaded for his life. Upon the arrow being withdrawn, the victim fully and immediately recovered. A lot of popes are getting involved. Pope Benedict the 14th and the papal bull declared Our Lady of Guadalupe, patroness of what is nicknamed the New Spain, corresponding to Spanish Central and Northern America, and included a liturgical text for Catholic Mass. The other 13 granted a degree of coronation towards the American relic. Pius X declared her patroness of the Republic of Mexico via decree and signed and notarized by Cardinal Mary de Val. You want to read about the character of Mary de Val? We never became Pope. He was a will in the Vatican at that time. Read his biography. What an amazing guy. His thing was that one of the things he used to do was he memorized, in Latin obviously, the works of Virgil. And he had this other priest, and we would get together for lunch or whatever. So he'd start off with a stanza of Latin by Virgil here. The other priest picked it right up. He picked it up. And they would do the whole poem. Just from memory. They do alter back and forth. Wow. I couldn't do that in English. Forget Latin. I couldn't do it. But Mary de Val was a real good guy. All right, Pope Pius XI granted a decree of canonical absolution, etc., etc. Pope Pius XII rescinded the decrees and then replaced them with, in preference, the title Immaculate Conception. He mentioned the venerated image via the public radio of the coronation in 1845. Paul VI granted a golden rose. John Paul II visited a shrine in 1979, and again when he beatified Juan Diego there in May 1990. When they canonized Juan Diego, they had 12 million people show up for the canonization. Try to imagine 12 million people. The whole of Manhattan, the whole of New York City, showing up in one place. Like New Year's Eve on an exponential basis. You have this crowd all saying the same thing. Where's the bathroom? But you had 12 million people, it boggles the mind. They all showed up to share the celebration of the sainthood of Juan Diego. I just said last week, you speak to an average Mexican, you ask them, they don't believe in God, but they do believe in the Virgin. I have to have that background. All right, next one. Our Lady of Sevilla. Rolls right off the lips. The title of Our Lady of Sevilla refers to a 15th century icon of the Madonna holding the child Jesus, and is an apparition which reportedly occurred in 1608 in Saluba, Lithuania. At the time, the area is Calvinist, and the local Catholic Church was destroyed 40 years previous. The Blessed Virgin is said to have appeared on 2 consecutive days at the site where the last priest was buried, a safekeeping box to take church property. In the interviewing years, the memory of the box failed, nobody knew where it was. They had the apparition of an elderly man recalled he had helped bury the box, so he brought him to where the box was. Inside the box was property deeds for the church, and they were able to go back to the government and say, we own this land, you took it away from us, we want it back. They got it back, because they had the deeds to do it. A papal promulgation of 1775 Devotion to Our Lady of Silva remains a significant symbol of the Lithuanian cultural heritage. Our Lady of Laos. The operation of Lady of Laos between 1664 and 1718 in Saint Etienne de Laos, France, to the Knight Mancoro, a young shepherdess, as the first Marian apparitions approved in the 21st century by the Roman Catholic Church. The apparitions were recognized by the Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church on September 18, 1665. They were approved by the Vatican in 2008. Currently, the site where the apparitions receives more than 150,000 pilgrims a year.
Where is that?
It is in Saint Etienne de Laos in France. I think it's on the outside.
Has there ever been one in the United States?
Yeah. She was born into an extreme poverty in the village of Saint Etienne de Mâcon. Around that when she was only 7 by 10, and it was 12, she took employment.
You're telling us approved ones, right?
I'm sorry?
You're giving us right now approved ones, okay?
Congregation of the Doctrine of Faith, which we actually now it's called the Dicastery for Faith. Back then it was called the Inquisition. It was started in the 1500s. From the 1500s on, if you had an apparition, they had to approve it. If they didn't approve it, it wasn't official. Now, a local bishop could say, yeah, it probably happened, but that's not official approval by the Catholic Church. That's a local bishop just stating his opinion. If it hasn't been submitted and approved by the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, it doesn't mean anything. It can be done. That's why you have so few apparitions, because the congregation makes you go through hoops to even let them talk to you about it. Because, like I said, there was this woman in the Bronx, and she was out there. She one of her trees was dripping blood or whatever. And it became very miraculous, and the Holy Office had 2 investigators over there. They got back, and they landed, came back to the plane, the same day it's false. That was a head discussion. You see some of the women when they go into a church, the Blessed Mother is bleeding from her hands, or Christ is bleeding from his hands. In many cases, we got dross dripping from the ceiling, landing on the head, just working its way down to the hands. It's hard to get something certified by Rome does not want to certify. You got to try to yelling and screaming.
It's the same thing as getting approval to be a saint.
Oh,
It's a whole series of, you have to have a certain amount of.
look at what I got. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but Bishop Fulton. He's venerable. He's got the miracles for sainthood. The reason they have not made him a saint is to still inviting his background up in Albany as far as the sexual abuse thing. They look to see what his record was and how he proved it, which takes a lot of time and a lot of stuff. But that's the only reason he has not been a saint is because anybody who's up there, that's the first thing they look for. Right now they have this, the founder of the Arch, Gene, I think it was. He died probably about 10 years ago. He founded Arch, which is a community designed to help children who are autistic or who are not. Great work. Just came tonight, and he had problems. So what is church doing? Sorry. Oh, took all the names off the buildings. They're ripping his name. I mean, they're crawling at somebody else out. They don't have any associate. It's a little late for that, guys. It's a little late for that. But that's what happens, is that the church is so paranoid, again, they'll tell you no, and you have to prove you're right. That's basically what it is, they'll tell you no. Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal, 1830. The vision of Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal appeared to St. Catherine Labouré in 1830 in the convent of Rue de Lac, Paris. She reported that one night in the chapel, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to her and asked her that a medallion be made to the design that she dictated. The lady added that all who wear this medal will receive great graces. After spending 2 years examining her claims, her priest eventually took the information to his archbishop. The medal eventually came to be referred as a miraculous medal. The front of the medal displays a picture of the Virgin as she appeared to Catherine Labouré. The design on the reverse includes the letter M with a cross. Oh, come on, let me tell you. There, let me talk about it. That's just for the back of the hill. Letter M with a cross.
You bring your own chalk?
I'm sorry? What's that?
You bring your own chalk?
I got 3 pieces, they're small, the rust, but I got 3 pieces, so I mean, I used to be a big blackboard writer. People can tell you, there was tons of stuff on the blackboard.
Never leave home without it.
The medal eventually produced came to your first miraculous medal. The front of the medal displays a picture of the Virgin. The design of verse included the letter M and a cross. A second daughter, Charity Sister Justine, reported a similar experience that led to the creation of the green scapular. The scapular itself was approved of Pius IX, and Catherine Labre stated in 1830 that in the East of St. Vincent, that she woke up after hearing the voice of a child calling her to the chapel, where she heard the Virgin Mary say to her, "God wishes to charge you with a mission. You will be contradicted, but do not fear. You will have the grace to do whatever is necessary. Tell your spiritual director all that passes within you. Times are evil in France and in the world." 1830. November of 1830, Catherine bore the Blessed Mother returned during an evening meditation. She displayed herself inside an oval frame, standing upon a globe. She wore many rings with gems that shone rays of light over the globe. Around the margin of the frame appeared the words, "O Mary conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee." That's the closing prayer of the Rosary. O Mary conceived without sin. As Catherine watched, the frame seemed to rotate, showing a circle of 12 stars. A large M surrounded mounted by a cross, and a style of the Sacred Heart of Jesus crowned with thorns, and the Immaculate Heart of Mary pierced with a sword. Asked why some of the gems did not shed light, Mary replied, "Those are the graces for which people forget to ask." Sister Catherine heard that the Virgin Mary asked her to take these images to her father confessor, telling him they should be put on a medallion and say, "All who wear them will receive great graces." In 1870, Our Lady of Putney, Franco-Prussian War was a culmination of years of tension between the two nations, which finally came to a head on July 19, 1870, when Emperor Napoleon III of the Second Empire declared war against Prussia. He was an Indian. From the first days of the war, defeat followed defeat. In January 1871, Paris was under siege. The apparition is said to have occurred at the height of the war. Putney was a hamlet of about 500 inhabitants, lay between the oncoming Prussian army and the city of Laval. The local Bourbonnais family consisted of Father Cesar, his wife Victoria, and their 2 sons, Joseph and Eugenie, aged 10 and 12. On the evening of January 17th, the 2 boys were helping their father Barbara, the elder, walk towards the door to look out. As he gazed at the star-studded sky, he suddenly saw an apparition of the beautiful smiling at him. She was wearing a blue gown covered with golden stars and a black veil under a golden crown. His father, brother, and neighbor came out to look, and Joseph immediately said he could see the apparition, although the adults saw nothing. The mother came out, but she too could not see nothing. The boys' parents could not see what the children were seeing that night, and called for Sister Vitaline, the local school teacher. She, like the boys, could not see the apparition. A crowd gathered to pray as word quickly spread among the anxious villagers. Children saw the beautiful lady and gleefully pointed up to her. Adults, however, only saw 3 stars forming a triangle. As they prayed the rosary, the children saw the garden stars multiplied until they were almost entirely gold. Next, the children saw a banner unfurled beneath the lady. Slowly a message appeared. "But pray, my children, God will hear you in time. My son allows himself to be touched." Upon hearing the message read aloud, the crowd spontaneously began the hymn, "Mother of Hope." As they sang, the lady laughed and joined in the singing.
Why do you think she didn't appear
I'm
to
sorry?
adults?
So,
You said she only appeared to children. Why didn't she appear to?
I have no
No
idea.
idea.
I have no idea. I mean, Juan Diego was early 30s, but other than that, they were all young. None of them were city folk.
No.
None of them were really serious, but they lived in the countryside. Some were abject poverty. I mean, they were poor as poor could be.
But didn't she, for the miraculous
I'm
medal?
sorry, no?
When she did Our Lady of the Miraculous
That's
Medal?
Catherine Lover.
Catherine, a saint, right?
Catherine Lover is a saint.
James.
Yeah, she was a nun, nun of the Visitation. I believe she was a Visitation nun. And she was kind of nice. She was kind of nice.
But it sounds like the majority were like children, women, not really big educated
You know,
people.
I really don't know why. You know, I thought about that, you know, the right nation comes to this, says, okay, A, mostly women, B, mostly children, C, mostly poor.
Yeah.
Is Medjugorje also sanctioned?
No.
It's not, because if you've read the story of Medjugorje, it was also children, and it was in a communist country. And it was,
It has been approved by the local bishop, has not been approved by Rome.
but, well, the only point I was gonna make is, after reading that whole story and everything, even though it's not approved by the church, maybe it's because children are innocent and they can't make, you know, they're innocent in their stories. So when they come with what they're seeing and saying, like you said about that little girl, how would she have known those kind of things? And the children in Medjugorje, they were, I think, teenagers and down, if I remember, because I read the book about a year ago. You know,
What happens is, for example, Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. The church fathers, early lay fathers, not the guys we talked about 2 weeks ago, and the theologians were battling back and forth as the true meaning of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. And it's just they're trying to get theology down so it would be correct. And finally, the Pope said it was correct, they promulgated it. And 10 years later, she appears and says, I am the Immaculate Conception. So that kind of verified right there, that what the theologian and the Pope has done was absolutely correct. I mean, she came back and she used the exact same terminology, I am the Immaculate Conception. So that in itself was pretty cool. At that same evening, after the Prussian forces abandoned their red advances, General, what's his name, was about to move the city towards Pommern, received orders from his commander not to take the city. At the same evening, the Prussian troops in Seidelfeld stopped at 5:30, about the time of the operation that first appeared. We cannot go further. Yonder in the direction of Brittany, there is an invisible Madonna barring the way. They stopped. The next day, they had the armies had declared a truce. But they had stopped, and if they didn't see the Madonna, they would have gone to town that night, and they would actually ravage the town. So whatever she did, she appeared, and it was enough there where they just stopped to scratch their heads one day. After the devotion, the church allowed the title Our Lady of Hope. It was authorized by ecclesiastical authorities, and the confraternity of the name has been extended all over the world. Another apparition, Our Lady of La Salette, 1846. La Salette in France. By the way, you notice France is getting an overwhelmingly lot of Marian apparitions. She disappears Syria, she's not Lebanon, she's not the Congo, although she shows up in France a lot. So France was on our line. The apparitions of Our Lady of Salette were reported in La Salette in France by 2 shepherd children, Aline Camet and Maxime Garrod, followed by numerous accounts of miracle healings. The Roman Catholic Church investigated and found them credible. End of story. All right, we'll talk about Lourdes now. I'll give you an overview of Lourdes, and we'll come back to it later.
What was La Salette, was 1846? You said?
La Salette, good question. 1846. Salette, Salette, France. Our Lady of Lourdes. In 1858, there was a 14-year-old shepherd girl who lived near the town of Lourdes in France. Her was out gathering firewood. She reported a vision of a miraculous lady who identified herself as the Immaculate Conception and suffered from visions. In the third vision, she was asked to return again, and she had 18 visions overall. According to St. Bernadette, the lady held a string of rosary beads and led St. Bernadette to the discovery of a buried spring, also requesting that the local priest build a chapel on the site and visions and processions be there. Eventually, a number of chapels and churches were built at Lourdes as the Sanctuary of Lady of Lourdes. At the time of the apparition, the grotto where she appeared lay well outside town on common ground which was used by the villagers for pasturing animals, collecting firewood, and as a garbage shop. It had a reputation for being an unpleasant place. Bernadette told her sister not to tell her parents about the apparition, but she told them anyway. The parents forbid them to go to the grotto. Bernadette ignored their orders and kept going to the grotto. And eventually the lady introduced herself to Bernadette as the Immaculate Conception, which had been proclaimed in document for the church 10 years earlier. That convinced the local priest that Bernadette saw an authentic apparition of the Virgin Mary. During the apparitions, Bernadette was given instructions by the lady, which were to prove central to the development of the sanctuary and its ceremonies. Bernadette was also told to go and drink from a spring which to appear inside the grotto and wash herself. She was also told to go tell the priest to build a chapel at the grotto and to, where the people would come in procession.
I'm gonna go find out what they're doing now. It's the Boy Scouts, and I've already spoken to them about stuff.
Anyway, during the apparitions, Bernadette was given instruction by the lady which were to prove central in the development of the sanctuary and its ceremonies. Bernadette was told to go and drink water from a spring which was to appear inside the grotto and wash herself. She was also told to go and tell the priest to build a chapel at the grotto where people would come in procession. One down. I had nothing to drink.
Maybe you should have.
Trust me, I should have tried. My head, with all the mucus from the cold,
Yeah.
my head's kind of
Blood
one of these. During the months after the apparitions, public interest in the apparitions grew, and by curious visits began to be replaced by pilgrims to unlike stories of miracles and apparitions. The local priest and the bishop bought the grotto and the land around it from the town of Lourdes. 3 years after the apparitions, immediately set about modifying the area to make it more accessible to pilgrims and start work to build on the first of the churches. So I was finished, I'm not. Alerty of Gritzwald, G-I-E-T-R-Z-W-A-L-D. Say that one first, that's obviously Polish. Maybe not. Probably. In the year 1877, the Virgin Mary was revealed to little girls, again, to Barbara Sobolewskawa and Justina Zastrinska. That has to be Polish.
I was gonna say, are there bells in it?
That has to be Polish. That has to be Polish. She appeared several times speaking the Polish language and explained how important it is to pray and say the rosary. Since then, pilgrims from Poland and other countries are coming to Gritzwald to see the picture of the Virgin Mary in a spring with claimed miraculous powers. The Catholic Church acknowledged the vision of Mother of Christ as real in 1977, 100 years after. My favorite, Our Lady of Knock. She was Irish too. Well, France got all the good stuff. She decided to go to Ireland and bring the Irish good news. Knock Shrine in County Mayo, which I happen to see this place, by the way. is the site of a 19th century apparition. On a wet Thursday evening, on August 21st, 1879, my birthday, 8 o'clock, Our Lady, St. Joseph, and St. John the Evangelist appeared in a blaze of heavenly light at the south gable of the Knock Parish Church. Behind them, a little to the left, St. John was a plain altar. On the altar was a cross and a lamp with adoring angels. The appearance of St. Joseph and St. John and the Lamb made the apparition unique in church history. The apparition was seen by 15 people whose ages ranged from 6 years to 75 and included men, women, and children. The witnesses watched the apparition pouring rain for 2 hours reciting the rosary. Although they themselves were saturated, not a single drop of rain fell on the gable of the vision. Subsequent commissions of inquiry set up by the bishop formally approved the apparitions as worthy of devotion, and they were officially recognized by the Catholic Church, culminating in the vision of Pope John Paul in 1879, which he called the ultimate goal of his pastoral visit to Ireland. Only a fragment of the original gable wall remains. Because the tourists wanted to take home a piece for a memory, so he kept them breaking it. That's what they did. The only reason you get that walls, they'll break it off the piece of bring home as a souvenir. Wait, that's still though. They still do that. That's why there's no more wall. There's a little, and it's got chain. I mean, you can't even get 10 feet here because people were breaking off pieces of souvenirs to bring home. The evening of August 21st was a very wet night. At 8 o'clock, it was raining as Mary Bird, by my Irish name, who was from the village, was going home with a priest housekeeper, Mary McLaughlin. Bird stopped suddenly when she saw the gable of the church. She claimed she saw 3 life-size figures. Could have been Christmas decorations.
Not in August.
Right? It could have been Christmas decoration. She ran home to tell her parents and saw this from the village gathering. The witnesses say saw an apparition of Our Lady, St. Joseph, and St. John the Evangelist at the south gable. I don't want to know how they knew it was St. John the Evangelist. Behind them was a little to the left of St. John was a plain altar. On the altar was a cross and a lamb with angels. A farmer about half a mile away from the scene described he saw as a large globe of gold light above and around the gable, circular in appearance. For nearly 2 hours, a group that fluctuated between 2 and perhaps as many as 25 stood or kneeled, gazing at the figures. It was raining. It was raining, and those identified as witnesses. The apparitions for believing Catholics held significant eschatological significance. That's a nice big word. Much work has been done to interpret the message received by the village by Catholic scholars, such as Emmett O'Regan. This vision of Mary was described as being beautiful, standing a few feet off the ground. She was described as wearing a white cloak, hanging in full folds and fastened at the neck. She was described as deep in prayer, with her eyes raised to heaven, her hands raised in a hollow hair, and her palms inclined slightly. St. Joseph was described as wearing a white robe and standing on the Virgin's right hand. His head was described as bent forward from his shoulders. St. John the Evangelist stood to the left of the Blessed Virgin. He was dressed in a long robe and wore a mitre. He was partly turned away from the other figures. I still would like to know how they know it was John the Evangelist. Those who witnessed the apparition stood in the rain for up to 2 hours reciting the rosary. When the apparition began, there was a good light, but then it became dark and they could still see the figures. They said the apparition did not flicker or move in any way. The witness reported the ground around the figures remained completely dry, although the wind was blowing in from the south. The entire apparition was soon torn apart by pilgrims, shipping out cement, mortar, and stones for souvenirs and to use for queers. Yeah. Irish worship, they probably fit themselves and sold it on the street. Has anybody here been to Rodney Castle? That's where you get Blarney Stone. That's where you have to lay on your back, go backwards as you grab bar, you go backwards like this. The Blarney Stone is encased in rock and you go kiss it. However, there is a family tradition there that somebody's holding your leg so you don't fall. That's the local Irishman. The local Irishman has a 3 foot by 3 foot towel, but it's got to be hundreds of dollars of change. So if you want him to hold your leg, you got to throw money on the towel. He will hold your leg. You don't give money, he ain't holding your legs. Now, that's a great business. You got people, tourists, I mean, you can't keep them away, and they pay to pray. They pay to pray, so anyway, that was we go to the Barney Stone, and my brother and sister paid. I said, screw this shit, I ain't paying. So I didn't kiss the Barney Stone. But guess what, I was a good case of Barney. I got much more, and if I start now, it's going to.
What is the purpose of kissing that Barney Stone?
I give you a gift of tongue. You give the tongue. You can talk your way out of anything. That's right, boy, that's a good boy. You give me blarney, they say. Oh, you give me BS. And anybody who kisses a stone has a gift of basically talking his way out of anything. And it's tough to get down there, because like I said, you're on your back, you roll over, you're on your back, you kind of squiggle half the way out over the castle. It's on the top of the castle. So halfway out of the castle, there's nothing below you other than very deep ridge. And then you're bending over and rolling, because the castles are better than one of the rocks. I mean, the balusters are better than one of the rocks. And then you do the kissing, it's just probably not the most sanitized thing in this COVID
That's what I was
thing.
gonna think. I wouldn't
Unless you
kiss
bring your own
it
bottle of
because
sanitizer with you, and you sanitize
I'm afraid
it
of
out,
germs.
right? You sanitize it out.
Yeah.
I am going to leave, because I can talk another hour, so we're going to do this. I can skip Lourdes and Fatima, we'll do that next week. I can get the rest, get the rest.
Bill, did you say we had one in the, or none in the United
I'm sorry?
States? Apparitions approved in the United States? None?
None.
Huh?
None.
None.
A bishop has approved a local one up in Minnesota.
Oh.
The shrine that's in the St. Lawrence Seaway up in Quebec between St. Lawrence River goes to, there's a Ilde, whatever, that's a basilica up there, that's another apparition. That was certified, that one was certified,
Quebec?
up in
Yeah,
Quebec.
but the United States, no.
That's not your assets. All right, so we got, like I said, let's see. All right, Our Lady of Burang. None of these made the papers, right? You guys, I mean, this happened in 1933.
I never
Yeah,
heard.
these aren't, I mean, I should have been around forever, right? I mean, nobody said, hey, Bill, wake up. The 33 apparitions of Our Lady of Burang were reported in Belgium between November 1932 and January 1933 by 5 local children, ranges in age from 9 to 14 years. From 1933 to World War II, pilgrims flocked to the little village. The final apparition for the apparition was granted by the church in 1949. Under the authority of the Holy Office, the Congregation of Doctrine of Faith, these apparitions are also known as the Virgin of the Golden Heart. I've never heard that one before. That's cool. 1933, Our Lady of Eno. The apparition of Our Lady of Eno reported by a young child, Mariette Beckel, a native of Eno, Belgium, in the 1930s. They were also known as the Virgin of the Poor. The apparitions were approved by the Roman Catholic Church in 1949. Beckel reported 8 visions of the Blessed Mary between January 15th and March 2nd. She reported seeing a lady in white who declared herself the Virgin of the Poor and told her, "Believe in me and I will believe in you." In one vision, the lady reported asking Mariette to drink from a small spring and later said that the spring was for healing. Over time, the site drew pilgrims. Today, the small spring yields about 2,000 gallons of water a day, with many reports of miraculous healings. I'm gonna stop right there. First of all, I'm very deep now, this is Blessed told you, but I gotta go into Fatima in detail, I gotta go into Guadalupe in detail, we can go into Lourdes in detail. That's half the class. And the second half of next week's class will be on what I call the prayers, the Blessed Mother. There are not that many, and again, you would think of the time, there are prayers that we associate with the Lord, Alma Mater, forgive us our sins through the fire cell. Those are all short prayers associated with Mary, but the reality is, there are not that many. I was looking for a lot more. There wasn't. There really wasn't. Now, we could all have our own personal piety, in other words, in our prayers to Mary, but the official church prayers, I didn't find that many. And then, like I said, the ones I got, there's a prayer we're going to go over next week, which is Salve Regina, Hail Holy Mother. And where I know it from, it's sung at the funeral of priests. When the funeral mass is finished, they're ready to take the body out of the church, everything stops. The presiding priest, usually the bishop, will intone Salve Regina, and the whole congregation will sing it in Latin. And if you want something else, then she'll sing in Spanish, any of that. A cappella, no organ, nothing. All the priests are from the heart, and half the congregation, I think, they're singing this thing, right there. And every priest funeral that I've ever been to ended with Salve Regina. So let's see if I can settle that up for next week, be closer to that. It's beautiful, and if you know the words, it makes it even more beautiful. So guys, that's it, I gotta pack it in, because like I said, I'm getting weak. And then we can finish up Lourdes and Fatima next week, and we could finish, conclude everything with prayers. Fatima is just as an aside, a lot of weird things about Fatima. The three children who were there, the message that was there, the secrets that they proposed, it was
Is that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but, because I just wanted to read up
excuse me.
on Medjugorje, bless you. And it said that as of 2017, they felt that there was every indication that Medjugorje would be, and that was in 2017, that would be approved. But is that something, because in Medjugorje, they were also given secrets. Is that something that is with a lot of
Fatima's
these?
the only one that I'm aware of.
Oh, no, if you read the book about Medjugorje, they were also told
Yeah, I'm
things.
saying, but other than the
Yeah.
story. Fatima Medjugorje, but the rest of them, no, the lady has a message, and she wants to proclaim, she wants to.
Because they have not divulged everything because they said it would be too upsetting. You know, but I, you know, because I haven't read the book, I thought it had been an approved one, so I wanted to see what the timeline was. But I didn't know about the secret, I knew Fatima and Medjugorje, and I just was wondering if other apparitions.
I remember when I was a kid, I'm talking 58, 60 maybe, close to 58. They always talked about the third secret.
Yes. And the
And
nun,
I said-
isn't she the last one to be alive?
Yeah. And I said, why is that secret? They said, oh, it could be the end of the world, prophecy for this, a prophecy. And boy, that really got to me. I always said, what could be, and whatever. Pope opened the envelope himself, that was it. But I've always wondered, what was in the envelope? I mean, why is
Why would they do it? It's like the JFK tapes, right?
Anyway, thank you for putting up with me.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you,
for coming.
Nobody knows at all.
What was that classroom that Lady Guadalupe was in again?
Number 8,
Number 8?
the last one on your, on the left.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody's interested, the family ministry is doing a bingo, a family bingo, so I don't know if anybody's wanting to go to it. Everybody had a good time when we did the ice cream social, but nobody's signing up for this one, so I don't know.